Hey guys, welcome to this video. My name is John Watts. I'm a lawyer in Alabama, and a lot of what we do is deal with mortgage companies. And so we're helping consumers who are facing foreclosure. And a lot of times we're asked by consumers, how can you stop a foreclosure? So for example, I'm recording this video on a Saturday. Somebody has approached me, we spoke, they've sent me some information. They have a foreclosure on Tuesday. Now in Alabama, the foreclosures are non-judicial, which means there's no lawsuit, there's no judge involved. The mortgage company says, we've decided that you are in default. They send you a default letter, they send you what's called an acceleration letter, they advertise, and then they foreclose, and no judge is ever involved. So yeah, it's much different than, say, in Florida, where you have a judicial foreclosure, where the mortgage company files a lawsuit, and then a judge looks at it, and judge says, yes, you can foreclose. So in Alabama, how do we stop a foreclosure? A lot of times, even lawyers come up to me and say, well, I guess the only way to do it is with a temporary restraining order, a TRO. And actually, I've never done that. And there's a number of reasons why. Typically, judges will say, you have to put up a bond, really in excess of the value of the house. So if the house is $400,000, you might have to put up a $500,000 bond, which will cost you about 50 grand in cash that you never get back. Well, if you had 50 grand, you just bring the loan current. So it's kind of silly. And so what we do, it's very simple. And I think those of you who have followed our videos over the years or read our blog or our website, you know, we don't believe in sort of hiding the secret and saying, well, if you pay me money, then I'll tell you the secret. No, we're very transparent. We tell you exactly what we do. So what we do is we make sure there's a valid basis, and typically under your mortgage in Alabama, it's paragraph 21 or 22. It can move around a little bit, but normally it's one of those two. It'll say you have the right to bring a court action. If you think that there's some question about the default, the acceleration is when all the loan is due right now. You don't get 30 years to pay it, boom, it's all due right now. So a question about the default, the acceleration, or the foreclosure itself, then you can bring a court action and have a judge look at it. So normally we don't get that because we're non-judicial, but this in essence turns it into a judicial foreclosure. And so now a judge will look at it. Now that doesn't mean you're going to win, but it means a judge will look at it. So does that automatically stop the foreclosure? No. But what we do is we file it. So in this case, that if the client ends up hiring me, we'll file the lawsuit on Monday morning. We'll reach out to the lawyers, the foreclosure lawyers, and say, hey, look, we sued your client because you have a foreclosure set tomorrow, and we're just giving you a very friendly suggestion and request, stop the foreclosure. We don't think you have the right to foreclose because we brought this lawsuit, and we dispute this debt, and hey, foreclosure lawyer, you are a debt collector under the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. And oftentimes the company doing the foreclosure is also a debt collector, but at least the lawyers are debt collectors. And so we remind them of their obligations under the law. And we say, look, if you move forward with this foreclosure, even though we have a lawsuit, and your mortgage gave us the right to bring this lawsuit. So if we follow the mortgage and you go, I don't care about that, I'm going to foreclose anyway, you better be right. And the few times this has happened, they've been wrong. And it has been incredibly expensive for them. Because we go, hey, look, the mortgage said we could do this. Normally the default letter will say, you have the right to bring a court action. So we brought a court action and you just completely ignored it. That's a big problem for the mortgage company. So we send that to the foreclosure lawyers, and not always, but I would say 90%, 95% of the time they go, okay, hey, look, we stopped the foreclosure. We're waiting to hear back from our client. You know, either we'll represent our client or somebody else will represent our client in the lawsuit, and then we go from there. And that's great. So again, the question comes up, how do we stop a foreclosure in Alabama when it's a non-judicial? We file the lawsuit and we encourage the mortgage company to do the right thing. And it's not out of kindness. It's one of a couple things. It's number one, they say, hey, that's what the contract, the mortgage says. The consumer can bring a court action. So, you know, let's let that play out. Or number two, it's fear. Because they say, I think we have the right to do it, but what if we're wrong? What if we've made a mistake? Because what we have in Alabama, this non-judicial foreclosure, our courts have been very, very specific, repeatedly saying this. It's a tremendous advantage to have non-judicial foreclosure. Ask the people in Florida. They're like, oh my goodness. You know, the mortgage companies would love to have non-judicial foreclosures in Florida. The lawyers in Florida are like, I don't even know what you're talking about. What do you mean non-judicial foreclosure? Sounds like a repo. Yeah, it's like a repo. So it's incredible power they get. And so our Alabama Supreme Court has said, but here's what you have to do, mortgage company. You better strictly comply with every detail of that foreclosure. Do not mess anything up because you have this great power, so you better be responsible with it. So when we sue, which remember their default letter told us we could sue, the mortgage tells us we can sue, and then they're going to ignore it? That's a problem. So anyway, that's what we do, and I hope that's helpful to you. If you're in Alabama, I hope you're not facing a foreclosure, but I'm guessing you probably have either you're facing it or somebody else is facing it, or else you wouldn't be watching this video. And so if you are in Alabama, give us a call, 205-879-2447 or alabamaconsumer.com, and we'll be glad to help you understand your options. And I will see you guys in the next video. All right, thanks. Bye-bye.